54321.
Hello. Hi, I have not changed my batteries, just FYI, but they're still chugging.
I changed my batteries. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Lower humidity today. That's making all the difference. Thanks, George.
Hello, your vote, your decision, the race results and conversations on the Good Morning Show. So that was extended coverage of behind the scenes at News 2. Nobody realized that we were up. We knew we were supposed to be up, but we didn't see it. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, it's there. So that's why you heard
technical
some things.
stuff, you know.
Yeah, so that's kind of great though. I mean, I have no idea what exactly you heard. Brian, what did I say? Did I say anything bad?
It's probably just your mic check.
Well, I don't ever
check.
talk bad, so
Yeah.
I mean, possibly, it couldn't possibly have been that.
No.
Anyway, hey guys, welcome to After GMS. It is Tuesday, May 17th. I'm Tracy McCain here with Ed Matthews, Megan Malaris, and Christian Morgan. So glad you could tune us in or on while or logged on to your Facebook pages so that we can have some fun with you this morning.
It is election day, hugely important day here in our state. For the primaries, a lot of big issues and big candidates on the ballots. Polls opened at 6:30. They'll stay open till 7:30 tonight. We're going to have your comprehensive team coverage coming up in just a few minutes, but we have to talk about this forecast. It feels so nice outside. No rain to keep anyone away from
humidity.
No humidity, no rain. It's really just a beautiful day. Take a look at that. Carolina blue sky all across the Piedmont this morning as you look out over downtown High Point. And like Megan was saying, it just feels so comfortable to be outside. This is the reason for that. Dew points are about 15 degrees cooler this morning than they were yesterday morning. So what does that mean? Well, it just means all that dry air has been building in behind that cold front. So temperatures really aren't a whole lot different than they were yesterday morning. We just don't have all the humidity to make it feel sticky outside. So it's so nice and refreshing. Mid and upper 50s for all of us out the door this morning. Still some 60s and 70s along the coast. Cold front still working on making progress out that way. Now, if you look at this big temperature map on a wide view, you see some heat building out over Texas and in the middle of the country. But we're kind of stuck in this pocket of cooler and drier air as high pressure remains in control of our weather. So for today, beautiful day full of sunshine. There's your voting forecast as you're headed out to the polls. Of course, the polls are open now. We'll be in the low and mid 70s. Mid-morning, mid-70s around lunchtime, and we only climb up into the mid-80s this afternoon. I know it sounds warm, but with all the humidity gone, it'll really feel comfortable to be outside. No weather systems really headed our way for the next couple days, so high pressure will continue to rule the weather in the Piedmont and really all across the southeast, at least up until we get into your weekend time frame. Now, high pressure from the west giving us a north wind right now. That brings in that drier air, but by the time we get into your Thursday and into Friday, that high will shift offshore a bit, so our winds will start to come out of the south and out of the southwest. And as you know, that south wind is usually a warmer wind, and it's coming off of the Gulf of Mexico too, so it's going to bring in all of that humidity with it. So humidity's on vacation for a couple days, but it starts to team up with that heat and make a comeback as we go toward the end of the week. Dew points will soar back into the 60s again. And yes, we also have plenty of days in the 90s on the way. We've got 3 of them stacked up at the end of the week. And as we go into the weekend, and it's about time we had some days in the 90s. Our average first 90-degree day is around May 18th. May 24th last year. It was late back in 2020 on July 1st, but it is about that time of the year. And it does start to feel like summertime as we go toward the end of the week too. With the heat and humidity, that will at least give us a low chance, a 20 to 30% chance Friday, Saturday afternoons for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Bigger weather system heads our way on Sunday as a cold front slides by. Some afternoon storms will be possible for your Sunday afternoon. And then we're back into the 70s with lower humidity, partly cloudy skies early next week.
All right, we all have it. Stacks of something we don't need. Maybe magazines, even though I don't even subscribe to them anymore. I still have them. Usually they have some type of historical story on it, so I keep it for reference and just to have it in my archives. Regardless, it's stacked up in the back closet, way in the back closet. Piles and piles of them. Maybe for you, it's your old yearbooks or memories of some sort. You might be a little overdue for some organization in your life.
Or maybe you're just misunderstood. You just like to collect things and they're perfectly organized. Well, today we're talking about all this because it is National Pack Rat Day. Do you know a pack rat? Is it you? We're asking, what do you like to collect? Maybe you like postcards, your children's art project.
Keychains when you're on vacation.
Yes, exactly. Every memory of a certain something, files. I mean, the list could go on and on.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with a lot of things, like letting go. Like, I have every sonogram.
Aw, me too.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna. Eventually, I'll do something really creative with it. But I'm just like, I'm not getting rid of these
baby books.
They should be in there. Josiah is the only one that's complete.
Hey, there's time.
Plenty.
Okay, well, if you deal with anything of the sort, here's what the experts at lifehack.org suggest. They consider these 4 things: recency, frequency, acquisition cost, and the storage of an item that you have.
All right, so for example, we're talking about recency. That means you should ask yourself, when was the last time you used that? Frequency, how often do you use it? Then consider the cost and ask yourself, is it difficult to replace? Is it expensive? And then think about the storage. How much space do you need to store it? So we asked you on the Good Morning Show, what are some things that you collect? One person wrote in and said refrigerator magnets. Another said that they collect books. There's just not enough time to read them all, this person said. And they also collect nativity scenes and display them throughout the year.
That's cool.
We also heard from a viewer who said, I keep all of my t-shirts from every school I've been to since kindergarten. I heard shirts from different events like senior day or homecoming. And my mom is that mom that keeps every report card, teacher notes, and all things school related for all of her children. This person said, most of us are grown now, so that's staying inside the house. My mom has all that stuff too.
Yeah.
It wasn't until recently she asked me to come get it all, and I was like, no. But
No, I'm not coming to get that.
Right, you saved it. You wanted to look back at it. I like to say that I made straight A's in 8th grade and not have anybody, question me on that. Until she has all these receipts laying around that said, actually, no, in this 3rd term you got a C, something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why we're holding on to them. And if I took them, I wouldn't want to throw them away. So then I would just be taking the mess to my house.
Because then she'd be mad if you threw them out.
Exactly. But she wants them out of her house.
It's really hard to get rid of the sentimental stuff, but once you do, you really don't think about it anymore. So that's what I try to tell myself.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get rid of this, but probably not going to look back after I do.
Right.
I've got a lot of clothes that I wore in middle school and high school, that my mom gave me. I just don't wear that stuff anymore. Part of it I can't even fit in anymore. And that's all obviously all at my closet in my parents' house. So I need to go. I really need to help my mom do this. Go through it and kind of say, hey, we can donate this or give it to some of my younger cousins if it's still in style, maybe. But just kind of get rid of some of that stuff and clean some of that clutter out. Now everybody collects something or kind of holds on to something they don't need, but they also collect things that are sentimental and that you do need.
Yeah.
So I collect. I guess I say I collect, but we collect all of our band's posters throughout the year from all the different towns and places that we
that's
play.
neat.
So we usually do a different one for each town or each city that we play in or whatever. So we've held on to those for the last several years and just kind of keep them. We either put them on the wall in our studio or we put them in a filing cabinet and kind of put them back. But those are always fun to look back. We pulled one out the other week and I was like, wow, we really played that song why did we do that?
Right.
But that was, the band's 15 years in the making now, so we have a lot of years past. Those are cool. to hold on to.
Laminate, put them in a binder, hang on to that.
Frame
Good idea.
That's great. So I come up with all types of things that I collect, and I just thought about this. I have every picture from every station that I've worked at for our professional, glamour shots, headshots, and you just go through them and you're like, oh my gosh, I was such a baby. I had big cheeks and just lots of stuff going on. And it's amazing to see the maturation over, the last 20 years.
I think it's cool. A lot of folks in this business travel around a lot to different stations. A lot of folks who've been in the industry for a while may have been at 5, 6, 7, maybe more than that different stations. And I have seen some folks like that have taken a mic flag or one of the mic flag from every one of their stations. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's a cool lineage to have.
Yeah.
It shows where you've gone and how you've grown throughout your career. That's pretty neat.
Right. I saw one of his headshots from the first year you were here,
Ooh.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
And you look the same.
Exactly the
Oh
same.
my goodness, really?
He hasn't aged today. Are you surprised? No.
Thank you so much. I beg to differ, but it's got to be something about moms. My mom is a total pack rat, and it drives me crazy. I go visit her every couple of weeks, to help her out with things, chores and things. And she just likes to save everything. And I'll start kind of moving things. Don't touch anything in my house. Leave it alone, okay? Well, Mom, it was in the same spot as it was 2 weeks ago when I was here. Can't we just kind of move this and store it up? So I don't know where I got my, non-pack rat characteristics, I suppose. I don't save anything. I purge my condo about once a month at least. If I don't use it in a short period of time, I just figure I don't need it. Now, I just don't arbitrarily throw things away, but I just don't collect things. So I don't really have any clutter at all. I go to my mom's house when I want to see clutter, you know?
I also think there's
Hi, Mom.
I also think there's a generational gap in as far as what you collect, what you keep. And, you know, some of that has to do with things like, you know, the Great Depression and upbringing and the importance of tangible items to hold on to pass down through the generations. I think the millennials and Gen Z overwhelmingly are less about material things and more about experiences. They will spend their money on, you know, going out to travel or going to the latest brunch spot and posting a picture on Instagram, you know. So there are some changes in that regard. That said, I think we all collect something, whether it be big or small, for good or bad. You know, I have a collection of ornaments that I mentioned earlier from our travels, and it's really fun to put them on the tree every year. Have a collection of angels that I plan to hand down to my daughter. But I have a bad habit of collecting actual pictures, so much so that I try not to print them out because I have trouble throwing them away.
Yeah.
So now I try to just use digital files, print only what I need, and then save the photos of my kids to a hard drive so I don't have everything laying around the house.
You make a good point. Like, I don't hear a lot of folks talk about, you know, heirlooms being handed down, that kind of stuff being passed down to their children and holding on to that stuff. You're right. I think there is a generational gap. I've never thought about that until right now.
And you bring up a good point, because my mom has said this before. Why do you save all this stuff? You know? And she said, well, when I was a little girl, and you talk about the Depression and things like that, it was necessary to save things and use it again and again. My mom will reuse a styrofoam cup until I just secretly throw it away. And I said, Mom, they made more. She's just frugal. But the reason for that is she was taught that at a very young age when they didn't have an abundance of things in their daily lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you in terms of generational things. You know, here I am, you know, I have access to now digital photos and things like that. But as a child growing up, all the pictures my parents took were Polaroids. And so, you know, photo books were so important then. So I have all of these photo books of me growing up and on team sports and things like that that I can go back. So when someone says, hey, do you have a picture of your prom, or do you have a picture, even if it was 30 years ago, which it was, I'm like, oh, actually, I can go to my mom's house and get it. You know, but you know, these days, all of my photos of my kids are on my phone, and I might print out a few here or there, but not a lot.
So that begs the question. I was sitting here as you were talking about that, thinking about this. So yes, there are pack rats in that regard. But I think there are also digital pack rats too.
I'm a digital pack rat.
I never delete pictures. I never delete messages. And you know, so sidebar, when I got a new phone not long ago, I upgraded to the bigger storage, and I was like, well, I'll never use that. And now my phone's like, hey, you're out of storage. I'm like, how?
Right.
Because you know, you have it, and you just, you know, you hold on to files and hold on to pictures and messages and all that stuff. And I think we don't. It's one of those things like, oh, I might like that picture later. Or I might want to use that for something later.
Or I need to save this voicemail for some reason.
Right.
I will totally agree with that. I have kind of peeped over and watched Christian going through photos on his phone. It's like, oh my God, how many thousands does he have on his phone?
Wait till you have kids.
So I can
about
understand
15,000 pictures.
I can understand your memory, but case in point, since I don't save anything, you would find about 10 photos on my phone.
Really?
Right now, about 10
You don't have
photos.
a million Rio photos on your phone?
Oh well, I've got I've got
a different
thumb
album.
drives and all.
That's a different album.
That's a whole different. Yeah. But I would say right now probably about 10 or 12 photos stored in my phone.
Can't do it.
It's just if I had as many as Christian, I would just like, oh my gosh, I gotta clean this up. It's driving me crazy.
I know. I went to go show someone yesterday a picture of my children. And they were like, oh, great. And so I went through, and then, of course, I had to get through all of my selfies from that day. Then I had to get through my lunch, which I took pictures of. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, my kids are really important. I definitely have pictures of them. But I had to go through all
Let
that
me get past my salad real fast.
Right.
So funny.
And after 30 pictures in, I'm like, oh, here you go. And she was just like, this lady is wild, off the charts. And I'm like, sorry.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So let's see what you guys are saying here on the feed. Joanne says that she has a lot of photo albums. She loves the printed pictures. And I agree. Those printed pictures are timeless. I need to do better at printing them. LeVar says he has his high school and middle school pictures still. Lloyd agreed with you and said my mom was the same and said she got that from her grandma or aunt, so it has sentimental value. Value. I think I said valuable, sorry. So do you see any?
Yeah, so Joanna said her family collects crystals and she loves it. Our Brian's mom has newspapers that date back to 1985. Sean likes buying Nike and Adidas basketball shoes and fancy boots.
Nice.
Virginia collects depression glass and it's hard for her to get rid of. And then I think we heard from someone earlier, yes, Joanne said baby books, give all the books then to her kids later as birthday gifts. Joanna collects stamps, coins, and money from all around the world. And then Lloyd has several things, including model cars and a whole city hand-built with a train and all.
That's cool. I was going to say, those old train sets and car collections are so neat. Always been fascinated by that stuff.
It's really good to save some old toys. I mean, I'm glad to some respect my mom held on to some of our childhood toys because now she has this awesome room in her house dedicated to her grandchildren. She didn't have to buy a thing because a lot of it's left over from when we were kids and is still in great condition. I think they made things better back then.
You know, all those old cars and all those old they were all metal.
Yeah.
You know, they were all cast or metal made. Now everything's plastic.
Right.
Yeah. We didn't worry about lead back then. I don't think
Definitely not.
that wasn't an
Different
issue.
We didn't worry about lead, mold, or anything like of that sort.
So, this is a little off topic, but I just had to mention it because you talked about mold and that. So you know, in the Wizard of Oz, you know, in the snow scene, that's all asbestos.
Stop it.
No.
That's all asbestos.
Well,
They
that's
just
why it
pour
looks
from-
so real.
It's just all
The
asbestos.
things we learn.
Oh no.
That
not
is
good.
horrible.
It kind of takes you back. You're like, yeah, they really have made things a lot better.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Well, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
We've gone way past what we normally go for conversations like this, but it's always nice to think, you know, if I could just clear it out, what would I get rid of? Receipts, emails, things like that, but got to hold on to some things.
Yeah. Feels good though when you do a purge. Okay, let's talk about Election Day. We have some
it is
reminders
Election
to
Day.
get you before you head out to the polls. Voting precincts have opened to registered voters. This is your chance to have your say in who represents you at the local, state, and federal level. Today's primary election is important. WFMY News 2's Denise McMiller has some last-minute reminders.
Well, the polls are open, allowing folks to exercise their right to vote. From first-time voters to those who may have skipped out on a primary election or two, wrapping your head around the election process can be a bit confusing. So here are 3 things you need to know before you head out to vote today. You do not need to show an ID to vote, but you are required to go to your assigned polling place. You can find that on your voting card, or you can look it up by visiting the State Board of Elections website and clicking their voting tab. And lastly, you want to be sure that you have the correct party's ballot. Whatever party you're registered for, that's the ballot you'll get.
You're locked in right now, and then also locked in case we have a runoff in July, not the Greensboro election, but another kind of runoff. However, after this election, you can change your party and you'll be fine. It's just is too late for this primary.
And the purpose of the primary is to narrow down candidates. After all votes are in, the winners in each contest will go on the general election ballot in November. To be a party's nominee, you must get 30% of votes cast plus 1. There could be a second primary if no candidate reaches the total needed to become a nominee in a race on the ballot. And that will be held on July 26. And the polling sites will stay open until 7:30 this evening. And we will have team coverage on the election as the numbers come in.
Oh, the weather's fantastic in the Piedmont. Cooler, drier air. Not so much cooler, but boy, is it drier today. Dew points are in the 40s. It feels great. We're seeing plenty of sunshine. On our way to about 82, clear, mid and upper 50s tonight. And even though we add a few degrees on tomorrow, the air is still going to be dry. We're on our way to about 85 on Wednesday. Oh, our first 90-degree day coming up on Thursday. Yeah, it's got to do it out at PTI. You know, that's the official weather station for the Piedmont Triad. If we fall a degree short on Thursday, oh, we got plenty more chances. 92 on Friday, 91 on Saturday. Each afternoon, only an isolated storm, mainly dry through Saturday. And then a cold front approaches, gives us a little better chance of scattered showers and storms on Sunday, 85. Behind that front, another nice shot of cooler, less humid, drier air to start the new work week.
So remember in the winter, we were like, you know, when we get to the 90-degree weather, it's going to be like, everybody's going to be like, oh, it's too hot. And okay, we're here.
Yeah, I've already got the Women's Fall Start mob in my inbox.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was.
And I'm the president of that club, so.
Yeah, 90 is a little too hot, but you know, sometimes it's 90, but it doesn't feel like 90. But that's not going to be this. You're looking at me like, no, not today.
No.
Not okay.
No.
All right.
Sorry.
You'll feel every inch of it.
You'll feel every inch of that 90 degree.
I'll be inside most of the day.
The first one is always the toughest, right?
Your body's not used to it.
Right, your body's not used to it, and that's why now, like, if it cools down to the upper 40s, when I'm like, wow, it's kind of chilly. You know, so we're used to being warmer. So the first 90 degree,
That's what I said this morning. Driving to work and then I turned the heat on.
40s
Anyway.
for 50s for Megan, 40s for us. But yeah, you know, it takes a little while for your body to get accustomed to that. But here we go. Summer's not far away.
Oh,
Well, I'm counting down to summer because it's my birthday. It's Ed's first. And then after that, we can go right to fall.
Okay.
All right, thanks so much for joining us on After GMS. Great conversation today. It is election day, so do as your, I guess, gut tells you. Get out to the polls and make sure that you have your voice heard in some of our big races that are happening. And we'll have full election coverage tomorrow on the Good Morning Show and on After GMS.
Have a great day. Get out there and get to it.
See ya.
See ya.